So you see it from all different angles, but
Okay.
hot takes, they just got used too much. It became in too much of abundance. Like it
Right.
became,
It's a crutch now.
yeah, we were leading with that instead of just using that as a tool, as an instrument to discuss things. So once that became the headline instead of just one of the lines in the paper, one of the lines in the show, I think that's when it lost its way. We had Drake on when we were interviewing him. He was hosting the ESPYs, and we pre-taped instead of went live like normal.
Right.
And this is 10, 15 years ago. And he came on pre-tape and started lighting Kendrick Lamar up. Like, we were sitting there like, what?
You know, there's just so many other opportunities for him. And so he's got the trophies. He broke my record.
He
You know what I
did.
mean?
He
So I
just-
think, yeah, he broke my
absolutely.
record. So I think it's time for him to retire.
Yeah, give me the keys to the kingdom. Cause I came, I saw, I conquered it all.
All right, Priest, welcome back. Another episode of the home
Yeah.
stretch, man.
We made it.
Yeah, we did. We made it. We're in where are we at? We're in Hotlanta. That's right,
it.
Hotlanta. Now, I will say, coming from New York City, where I live, anything you put the word hot in front of anything because it's freezing there, dude. It was
could imagine.
negative 18 degree wind chill, man.
Yeah. So what? When Texas, you know, I'm coming up from San Antonio.
Yeah.
So, you know, our 60. You know what I mean?
60.
You know, and you know, we were up in 83 as well. You know, and so, but our lowest is around 30 degrees. You know, so.
I'm sorry for your loss.
So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this. So when
Yeah.
you're in New York, what does it feel like? So if it's 30 there, but
Yeah.
what does it feel like?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It feels like negative. You're in the negative range.
Yeah.
It's brutal, man. And the snow everywhere right now. You got garbage piles and snow 10 feet tall, almost as tall as the buildings.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We're swimming through some garbage at the moment, but we'll get through it, man.
Yeah. Well,
Eventually it'll melt.
Well, 50 feels like 30 for us. I mean, it feels like
That's
it's
true.
freezing. Yeah. The city shuts down in San Antonio.
Well, look, my wife is, as you know, she's from Puerto Rico and she can't even go down the dairy aisle. So,
Yeah.
anything below 65 is like freezing for her. So it's
Yeah.
all sweaters right now. All right, Priest. Here we are in Atlanta. We're rocking out for a bit post Super Bowl. It's time to check our receipts, and it's time to talk about our biggest takeaways from the big game. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to start with takeaways, or do you want to just get the receipts out of the way? What do you want to do?
Yeah, no, let's not talk about takeaways, man. Let's just go ahead and get these.
You want to get these receipts out of the way? Okay, we'll do it.
Yeah.
All right. So we had a lot of fun doing some ridiculous picks last week, which was really cool. We each picked 6 of them. And we did the tiebreaker. Now, I will say you did hit the tiebreaker, but we didn't need it because we only hit on one of these 6 picks. And that was me, my friend. I went with the pick 6 to happen in the Super Bowl, and it did. We got a pick 6 from Seattle. So there it was. I was hoping you'd get something. Myers was kicking all these field goals. I was hoping one of them was going to hit the crossbar or the post, but it didn't work out.
Yeah,
for
you had enough times for that ball to hit the crossbar.
You
I mean,
did.
he had 5 attempts, and he was successful 5 times. And so that's a lot of pressure. Imagine for a kicker, knowing that what we've seen, that if you miss that field goal, that could be a very long off season for you.
Yeah,
so.
we'll get into that in just a bit. But yeah, from all the Super Bowl specials and futures, I was able to hit on the pick 6. That was pretty cool. Didn't need the tiebreaker, and I'm sorry you won that. But the big party here is, you know what it is, man. I gotta watch you do 300 push-ups now. You know why that is?
Yeah.
I hit every single one of my playoff picks except for the Super Bowl because you got to go first. You went with the Seahawks. You won that. You got 5 points.
So technically, I didn't understand that. So when we made these picks, right?
Yeah.
We ended up both going for Seattle.
Yeah.
Now, that's impossible.
No, here's the thing. If you go back and watch the tape, I let you pick first. You picked Seattle, and I said, I think they're going to win the game too, but I'll take the Patriots because it's the only team left. So I lost. You were able to secure yourself 5 points, and you brought it up. We were tied.
Yes.
But then the tiebreaker was the score, right?
Yeah, I can't even believe this. We're going to have to work on the name, though. We got to work on his name.
Yeah, we do. We do. But what did I pick for the score? What did I pick? Do you remember?
I think you were 28-13.
Yeah. And what was the final score?
29-13.
Pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, you landed on that one pretty close.
On fire all season. So I won that point total. It was actually 42. I went with 41. You thought they were going to score more points. Your total was 52 with the score.
Yeah, well,
35,
technically
17.
they did score more points.
They did.
Just one touchdown was called back.
Yeah, I know. That's true. But so what do you think, man? You gonna do these push-ups in private and just tell me you
Yeah,
did
just
them?
usually like a private affair.
Do we don't want to film this for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
audience?
nah,
You don't
it's
wanna
a
see what
private
we're doing?
affair.
Okay.
You know, there's some things you can't have on camera.
Okay.
Technically I'm disabled, so No,
You
no,
gonna
but
get
for
me
the
on a
most part,
technicality? You gonna
no,
get me
no,
on a
absolutely,
technicality?
yeah. I owe you 300 push-ups.
All right.
Man, that's easy work though,
Y
really.
For you,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's light
that's
work.
easy work. I would have needed a full calendar year, so I'm so glad I didn't lose this bet. But
Yeah.
all right, so you just let me know when you do them, how you do them, whatever. Maybe I'll get someone from your family to sneak some footage or whatever. We'll get it
Well,
out
Kendall,
there.
I think she'd be the one.
Kendall will do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, she'd be good for that. Between Kendall and Cheyenne,
Okay.
they'll definitely be able to get that footage for you.
All right, good, good. Because I need proof, man. I need proof. As much as I'll take your word for it. All right, so we got that out of the way. I don't know what happened this season. If anybody followed my picks all year, you probably made a lot of money. So I hope you did.
Uh,
All right, let's talk about who showed up and who showed out in this Super Bowl.
Yeah, man.
Right? What were the big takeaways for you as we head into the offseason? From a
Okay.
player perspective, we both felt Seattle was going to win this game. Sam Darnold had an okay game. He threw for 202 yards.
Yeah, and I was thinking he was going to score, at least throw for over 300.
Yeah,
I thought he was
yeah,
going to
you
have
were
that kind
talking
of
a
game.
big game from Darnold.
Yeah.
No interceptions though, no fumbles. Did get one touchdown to an unassuming AJ Barner. No one thought he was going to score,
Yeah.
but he did. But how did you feel about Darnold's performance overall?
Yeah, overall, I think, again, just being a true leader.
Mhm.
Even when you're not having, the greatest game and getting the ball downfield, you're not even getting the throws to, your number one receiver as well, with Jackson Smith. So it was a number of things where I think in terms of just being a leader and what what I can even look back to when we had a chance to play in the Super Bowl 35. It was one of the things that they said, as an offense, you have a better defense, but as an offense, just don't turn the ball over.
Right.
And I think in terms of being a leader, that's what he did. He made sure he secured the ball.
Well, he got real close to some deep balls.
Yeah, he opened
man.
the game up.
Yeah.
Trying to throw in some tight windows and almost
Shout
get an
out to
interception.
Gonzalez, man.
Yeah.
That guy was everywhere.
Yeah.
Those last second dive fingertip blocks, man. He was crazy.
Yeah, he was.
But just showed that Pats defense, man. People were underestimating them, and they had a good, solid defense. But you turn the ball over too many times, you're going to
Yeah,
lose
that's
the
going to be
games.
tough. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, even when you share turnovers, like if one team turns the ball over and then the next one does the same thing, you say, okay, we're even, going into halftime. It's something that we all can work through. But once you get ahead in turnovers, it's very difficult to come back and definitely even try to win the game.
Right. So if you're a Jets fan, if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, if you're a Niners fan, if you're where else did he go? Sam Darnold, Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. It was his last stop.
And he was great for Minnesota, but they were like, I can't pay the big bucks. We got a rookie, second-year guy waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
How bad do you feel? Are you excited for Sam Darnold?
Look, it just depends
pissed?
on what shoes you're feeling, right? So for Sam Donald, similar to myself after winning Super Bowl 35,
Yeah.
I already knew I had my cleats on. I was ready to walk. I was ready. I had my bag packed and everything, and so I think there's so many experiences that come from obviously winning the Super Bowl. You get a chance to obviously get your Super Bowl ring. You get a chance to go to the White House. Some of those stops I didn't even participate in because I already knew my time was short and limited there.
I can see it right now. You didn't have one plane ticket. You had two plane tickets just in case the first flight got canceled. You were
I was
making
out.
sure you were out the door.
Yeah, I already knew I was out. And then
Respect.
again, I think what most teams do is when they have a player that goes and has so much success on another team, of course, they're looking back and saying, man, they're kicking themselves like, my goodness,
Yeah.
why didn't I just keep him here? Why didn't we pay him the big bucks? But, it's always a business, know. And so at the end of the day, they did what's best for them with Minnesota, but definitely Sam Darnold made the best choice.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the other takeaways for Seattle. Cooper Kupp was the leading receiver, 6 receptions, 61 yards. Look, he's classic, man.
He is, but he
did it for
easily
the
could have went over
Rams.
100. He
Yep.
could have easily went over
Easily
100
could have
yards.
gone over
I think
100.
there was probably 3 or 4 drops that he had. I mean,
Mhm.
balls that were very, very close.
Mhm.
It was just such a tight game. You could see defensively, you knew that both defenses was going to make it very, very tough for either of the offenses, to get those first downs. And so
Yeah.
a lot of that happened. And of course, I didn't imagine that you would see so many different punts from the Patriots, throughout the game. They started the game off like with 5 punts.
They were looking around going, where's that snow at, man? Where's
Yeah.
that snow? Give me the snow. Give me some bad
Yeah.
weather.
Yeah, you need some other elements, man, to kind of control the game. But with the game being out there on the West Coast, other than the fact that I think a couple of times you saw some of the players where they slipped, so
Yeah.
the footing wasn't always there.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that playing out there in the Bay Area, the moisture in the air. And a lot of times the field isn't as secure. So a few times you saw players, falling all over the place.
Did you play on the baseball field, San Francisco 40? Did you play against the Niners when they were playing
No,
in the
I think
baseball
I think
stadium?
at the time that I played, and I've only played there once,
Okay.
but I don't recall that the field was set up like
Yeah,
that.
they had the baseball field.
That's very
was
similar
rough.
to like in San Diego.
Yeah,
Where, where they had the same similar situation right now.
Yeah,
Where you're on a baseball field. Yeah.
People of a certain age, man, we remember those. It's like
So you're running
first
on
and 10
grass
from
at one
second
point,
base.
and then you were just in some red clay dirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
part of the time.
super
Yeah.
random.
And you're promising and hoping yourself like don't get tackled.
Yeah.
Try not to get tackled in here. So you just
Yeah.
come up with a red suit. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Sure, love it. Maybe even find a baseball in there somewhere. It got buried. So Cooper Kupp was the leading receiver, but AJ Barner caught 4 for 54 and a touchdown.
Yes.
So shout out to him.
Yeah, big receptions.
And then Rashid and Jackson both had 24 yards. And unfortunately, Jackson, man, concussed, taken out of the game. That was a big loss. But
Well, I think it was to a concussion. I think he hit the back of something.
Yeah.
And I saw that play.
yeah, you saw the play.
And so
head just snapped back.
we always talk about hard hits. What are some of the biggest hardest hits? And you can have hits like from Ray Lewis or from any of the linebackers in the league. When you think of those guys, and you'll hear the impact, and you would say, "Man, that had to hurt."
Yeah,
but it's really not those hits that are the hardest hits. It's something very simple that Jackson Smith actually, he got tackled, hit the back of his head on the turf.
Yep.
And at some point, lights out, tingling sensation. Those are the experiences that you get.
Yeah.
You catch a knee to the side. I've gotten hit that way
Yeah.
before where it's a cornerback coming up and I'm going to block him. And I'm, obviously I'm like, I can control this cornerback. I don't have to spend much effort to him. So I actually turn sideways to kind of drop my shoulder. And, I'm thinking that I'm going to, block him. And he runs up to me. And as I'm lowering down, I catch a knee right to my side,
Yeah.
and it's little things like that, you know what I mean, that end up, changing the course of the game for you,
Sure.
So definitely you could see how that kind of slowed down Jackson Smith a little bit as well.
Was there ever an instance when you were playing and maybe you take a big hit or you hit your head on the ground or something like that, and you're like, man, I think I got concussed, but I'm not going to tell anybody? Because back then they used to just call it getting your bell rung.
Bell rung, a burner, a stinger, those things like that.
Isn't that funny?
When I played, it was
serious
like smelling
injury.
salt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They put the salt on your nose.
Did you? You get the
wakes you up. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
I've
And,
never done
gets
that,
you ready.
man. Is it crazy?
Yeah, some guys. There's some DBs. They actually go out on the field, and that's kind of one of the things that they do to get prepped and ready.
Sure.
They get that smelling salt, and it kind of just opens you up, man, and just gets you breathing right.
I'll give you a tip for anybody. If you're a new parent out there, it's a good thing to do too. You want to start your day, your kids waking up at 5 a.m., just do some smelling salts. You'll be ready to go all day, man.
Oh, they'll
All
be
day.
wired. You know what I mean? Minus the sugar and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially if you have a kid that doesn't nap, man. You're like, oh, I'm running on empty. Oh, hey, what's going on? I can do another 2 hours. That's crazy. So the smelling salts, those are outlawed now, right? I think those are banned. I
Players
think
still
someone
doing it.
recently
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
still
but
trying to
yeah,
do it, but they
yeah,
got caught.
players.
Someone got caught on video.
Yeah, players.
Got
still doing
suspended. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is just fun dip. This is the smelling salts.
Well, between smelling salt, you even got the guys that when I played, guys were still dipping in that day. So they'd have a wad of like dip in the side of their mouth. You know what I mean? And that's straight tobacco that they got in their mouth. Man, and
That's
playing on tape.
crazy.
And a lot of guys did
No one
do that. You know
choking
what I
on
mean?
that and
Yeah,
stuff.
well, a lot of guys that were on special teams,
Yeah,
guys that had, at that time you had to run down,
Sure, full sprint.
30 yards
Yeah.
and run into like tight ends and linemen, hooked up arms. And they've outlawed that since then,
Okay.
But you would run down there and just butt heads and kind of knock yourself out or knock yourself into the play, right? But half of the time, man,
Spit
the
going
older
everywhere.
players, a lot of the younger players, they're watching and looking and like, at some point you'll become an older player and you'll probably do something like that.
Yeah.
But we're looking at those older players, like when I came in '97, and you got guys with wads of tobacco in their mouth, right? And we're looking at them, we're like, no wonder they can run down there and just knock themselves out. You know what I mean? Half the time they're high going down the field. You know what I mean?
Every once in a while, you see a guy on the sideline just like mowing down hot dogs and stuff, or like
Yeah.
eating Cheetos like mid game. Did you ever see someone get caught out like they're in mid granola bar and they get their number called and they got to run out on the field? They're trying to chew.
No, not anything like that. But for the most part, after I'd even retired, you had Marshawn Lynch and he had the whole Skittles thing.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
sure.
So he'd have his
Yeah,
container and he'd
Yeah.
be like having Skittles. But for us, you know what I mean, it would just be like some oranges or guys would grab a banana, and they had all these different things like, man, eat a banana and you won't cramp up. And we're like, really? Like, I don't know if that's the case right now. You know what I mean? But
Wait,
that's
that doesn't
kinda what
work.
they had.
I've been doing that my whole life,
Yeah.
man.
Eat a
That's-
banana, you won't cramp. I don't know about that.
Anybody in the room, you eat bananas to not cramp. That was a thing, right?
Yeah, it was a thing.
Tell me it's fake. That's just trying to sell me bananas.
Yeah.
Big Banana Corp, man. What a great rumor to start.
Yeah.
We'll put a link down here below right now, but there's this really fun Instagram account of a guy who he's an artist and he makes fake cards that he tries to sell at real like card conventions.
Yeah.
And they're really funny stuff. Like it'll be like Peyton Manning, but he'll like extend his forehead like even farther. So it looks kind of real ridiculous. But he made one that has a used Marshawn Lynch Skittle like in it, like in the card. Because, you know, they put the jersey patches in there and it'll be like, yeah, Marshawn Lynch card with a Skittle. I'll put a link to it. It's really funny, man. He almost sold it. All right, last person we got to talk about here from the Seahawks is this kicker, Jason Myers, man.
Man, solid player. You know,
I'm going to say this right here, right now, and this is no offense to Kenneth Walker III. You know we love him on this show. But Jason Myers should have got the Super Bowl MVP. The guy nailed 5 field goals.
He did.
2 extra points.
He did.
Scored his team, 17 points. The only player on the Seahawks to score through 3 quarters. He won them the game. Those were all the points they needed. You know, Patriots only scored 13, so technically the first 15 of his 17 game-winning points.
Yeah.
Why can't we show a little love to the field goal kickers and get this guy the first ever field goal kicking MVP in the Super Bowl?
I think.
Why can't you do it?
Yeah, it could be done, but I don't think it's going to be done time.
Why not,
soon,
Priest?
You know?
Why not?
Well, the thing is,
Give me 3 reasons you can't
number
do it.
one, I'm a running back, so you obviously know.
That one doesn't count. You're a running back. Give me 3 good reasons why you don't give this guy the MVP.
Well, again, it's not to say that it couldn't happen,
Right.
but
It never will, and we know that.
I don't think it will. I really don't think so. You know, and so what happens is, and I'm not going to give you reasons why I don't think he should. But here's the things that I think you should give him, right?
Yeah.
And I think that Kenneth Walker, although being the MVP,
Free food for life.
he should be taking him out.
Yeah.
Maybe he might get him a nice looking watch. You know what I mean?
Watch? Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, he's a kicker, so
Yeah.
ankle bracelet.
You know, I think definitely steak dinners might be something that they could probably, make sure that they do on his behalf. But, do something really special for him, And I think as a team, you definitely have to look at him and say, we wouldn't even be in this position because he kept them there. Those 3 points kept adding up. And like you were saying, at the beginning of the game, you're thinking like, man, this 3 points, it's not going to make it. It's not going to get you a Super Bowl.
Right. It's not going to
but it ended up doing, he got 15 points off of him?
Yeah. 15 points off field goals plus the 2 extra points. So 17, man. Jason Myers, you're my guy. I see you, man. You're my Super Bowl 60 MVP.
Yeah.
That's my guy. I wonder how many players on Seattle were like, wait, who's our field goal kicker? What's his name again?
No, definitely they do. No, definitely. You're going to know. You're going to know who that kicker is. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why is because it's so crucial when the kicker goes out there. It's for something that we take for granted. Obviously, probably any athlete on the field probably takes for granted the importance of it. Because again, you're practicing all day. You're lifting the weights. You're running the gassers. You're doing the extra work. And then you see the kicker out there just kicking field goals. You're like,
come on. He's by himself too. He's just setting up his own
But I think it takes a lot of discipline also to be on that field where you got the entire team on one field practicing, and as a kicker you're on the other side. You know what I mean? On a separate field by yourself, and you're just doing chip shots between the field goals. And I think it just takes discipline in order to do that. For an entire season.
Sure.
To stay motivated, to be locked in. And a lot of times I think on the back end you have a lot of those kickers, if they're not too young, they generally usually end up being some type of leader on the team, you know, especially with some of the older kickers as well.
Yeah, because there's a lot of overturn, as we know, on teams, players coming in and out. But, I mean, we talk about pressure a lot on this show.
Oh, that pressure, man.
Imagine making not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 field goals in the Super Bowl, no misses, and perfect on your extra points. Again, Jason, my guy.
Yeah. Breaking news from Bet365. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Sign up, place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, player props, futures, and so much more. Whatever the moment is, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only. Let's talk about, we got to talk about it, Chenna. Bosu.
Bosu was on that last name.
Who got the pick 6, man. What a cool play. there was a deflection off the back of a helmet, ball goes up in the air. You're not sure if it's a fumble, you're not sure if it's a pick, but it's amazing how fast you go from defense to offense mentally in that split second where you're like, oh my God, the ball's up in the air. Oh my God, I'm catching it. Oh my God, I'm running for a touchdown. And he did that, man. And there's nothing like seeing a linebacker or a lineman or those guys trucking down the sideline. And you saw one of the offensive linemen trying so hard to get a sniff.
Yeah, you find out who's the athletes on your teams. You know what I mean? Because
Quickly
once
find out
because once that
who
ball
the
goes up
athletes
in the
are.
air, and as a defensive player, it definitely has to it has to click. And if you're an athlete, obviously that natural ingredient that you have as being an athlete would kick in. You'll grab the ball, run with it, right? But some of the defenders, man, they get that ball, man, and literally they don't know what to do, man. Their feet stop working. You know what I mean? They lose control of their body.
Feet stop working. It's
but I
kind of like
think
when you hand someone a microphone, they're like,
don't know what to do with it,
don't know what to do.
But that play actually was set up from the beginning of the game because they started off. I think both defenses started off with applying pressure to both of the quarterbacks.
Okay.
And I think for Drake, he definitely had a lot of pressures that probably he hadn't seen before.
Right.
And you saw that cornerback blitz that was coming off of the edge, and so they had ran that a number of times. But this particular time, he got to him. He got to Drake, and the deflection off of the helmet bounces in the air. That's the thing as an offensive player, and that's the worst. Is that you're in the middle of a reception or you have the ball, and that ball goes up in the air. It doesn't drop to the ground immediately.
Pops up somewhere.
It pops up in the air, and that's like the longest second in your life for an offensive player.
You can see every stitch on the ball.
Yeah. You're like, no. You know what I mean? And that ball is just sitting up there. And then, of course, if there's any kind of player as athletic as guys are, man, they can get to the ball pretty quick.
You ever catch a pass off a deflection like that or off the back of the helmet? Or
I think I saved my quarterback once or twice.
Times,
it's going to happen. You know. And I'm always looking for the payback, like, man, please save me. You know what I mean? So, look, this is the one thing. Like, if I was a punt returner, something I never wanted to do as a player, because it was just the fact.
Did they ask you to do it? Did they ask you?
Well, they asked very quickly.
Return kicks?
I very quickly said, no, I don't think I'm the guy for that. You know what I mean? Because the ball sits in the air for at least 3, 4, 5 seconds, right?
It's a long time.
And depending on the wind pattern, that's like higher up, that ball can do a lot of number of things, right?
Sure.
And so it's a lot of pressure. So again, Dante Hall, on the way that Rashid was able to catch the ball, pure pressure, and especially if you have a guy like you that's just like right there in front of your face, and the ball's coming down. And I'm always thinking
down there, they're just circled around you.
If I'm a returner, I'm thinking this. I'm like, look, I better have one of my off guys that are helping me defend, or on the receiving end. You better be close to me, because if this ball muffs or goes in the air, do not be just looking at the ball at the ground. You better be jumping on it.
And one of the Patriots players, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been off a punt or a kickoff. He let the ball roll. He didn't do the fair catch, and he let it roll, and it went all the way back to like the 2-yard line. And then you could see him just put his head down.
I think somebody was also reporting like, you gotta stop that ball. You gotta catch it. You know what I mean? So I don't know about that. I even have some things where, like, when we would do our special teams, it always had that rule where, like, if you're on the 10-yard line, catch the ball. If it goes behind you, step up. Don't worry about it.
Get out of the way.
But that's a very tough call for a returner at that time.
It's a lot of pressure, like you said, a lot of wind, a lot of elements, people in your face.
Yeah.
You take your eye off the ball, you're looking up, you're looking down, see who's around. All right, let's move on to the Patriots. And let's talk generally about them. One big takeaway, so we're not rubbing their faces in it. But, they got blown out in this game.
Yeah, they did. I don't like the Patriots, actually, so I'll do the rubbing. I'm okay with that, Mark.
Well, I will say there is a Patriots fan in the room, and she looks gentle, but I feel like she might fly in screaming tackle you, priest. Right? Yeah, she might put you on the IR, man. So don't go too hard on the Patriots right now. I'm just going to.
No, Patriots, it's a good team. It's just I've never won there. When we've traveled there.
Well, it's hard to, man. It's hard for anybody to win there. I mean, you look at this year, Patriots, they were fired.
And you look at some guys, you're like, okay, personally, this particular player had a great game, right? But it doesn't matter, because it's always a team effort, Yeah. So regardless if you have a great game, or you're the guy that fumbled the ball or got the interception, it's one of those things where it's still a team sport, and you got to have your other guy stepping up to help you win that game. But I don't know, going to Bristol, I don't know what it was about, man. It was just tough.
Yeah, you couldn't handle it. Man.
Yeah, it was tough.
Maybe it's mental. Maybe it was a mental thing.
Yeah. No, I don't. I mean, I think I only went once. I only went there. I think we only played there once in my 11 years. And so, and that one ended up in an L. But Harrison was one of the
Let me bring up the
sideline.
stats, Priest.
Yeah,
Here.
yeah.
Three
Yeah, you can bring it up. See
fumbles.
what,
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to think. So Rodney Harrison.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
Rodney
he was on the
Harrison.
sideline and he was broadcasting and reporting for the Super Bowl.
Yep.
He was their starting strong safety back then.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
to
And it was
face
one of
up
those
against
things
him.
where it's like you got to keep your head on the swivel whenever he's in there,
Mm.
you know, because he's coming in there. It's like you have those players that you play with that you kind of brother-in-law is kind of what they call it. So
Okay.
like if you go on to college with a guy, you know, and you're playing against him,
Oh, okay.
he's going to bring you down and he's going to hit you if you have the opportunity. But at the end of the day, if he has the ability to maybe take your knee out, more than likely he's not going to do it. You know what I mean? He's still going to bring you down aggressively.
Yeah.
But then you have some other guys like Rodney Harrison that,
He didn't care?
yeah, he
didn't care if you were married to
Yeah,
his sister.
yeah.
He didn't care. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't care. So I remember this one
Alright.
particular time where it was like we were down in the red zone. We get up to like maybe the 10-yard line. We run a play. I run for about 5 yards. I think I get hit at about the 4-yard line,
Okay.
but I get hit by several Patriots and they're standing me up, right?
Yeah.
And then Rodney comes in and kind of like grabs me by the shoulders. And I'm like, one, my progress has stopped.
Yeah.
Two, like you're being overly aggressive right now.
Yes.
You're right.
4 guys
And-
on me right now.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking like, okay, they're just gonna stop the play and it's over with. But then it doesn't stop. The ref doesn't call. He doesn't blow the whistle. And I feel like Rodney like torquing me. So like my foot was stuck in the ground.
Oh, he knew.
I
what
got
he was
2
doing.
guys around me, but Rodney is like twisting my shoulder. I'm like, man, if I don't pick my leg up, man,
You're gonna break your
blow,
ankle.
Yeah, he's gonna blow my knee out. So I immediately, like in a quick second, man, thinking like, man, pick your freaking knee up. You know, it don't matter if you're gonna get put on your back, but just
Just pick it up.
pick your knee up,
Pick it up.
pick your leg up. So I picked my leg up, man. He took me down and stuff like that. So I still remember that. So when I see him, you know, at Super Bowl, I'm like, I remember you, Harrison. I remember the little
You
cheap
just
shot
looked
you
at him
took.
and just went, I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah, he took the little cheap shot. But overall, he's a great player, though.
Yeah,
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 very aggressive
yeah.
player. And like he's one of those guys where you got to keep head on the swivel. You better be looking for him.
Yeah. I'll look out for him next time I'm in the grocery store. I don't want him taking me down while I'm trying to get my cereal. All right. Look, Patriots, they had a rough go, but big learning lesson here for a young quarterback. You know, let's hope it's not a Dan Marino situation where you get there so young and you
Yeah.
never get back.
Yeah,
But-
like a one and done.
yeah, one and done. But they got a great coach. Obviously, Drake May is great. Defense is solid.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they have a good running back tandem too. You know, I
Yeah, they do
feel
with
like they
Stevenson.
got the pieces.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see. I don't think the Patriots are going anywhere. You know, they might not get back to the Super Bowl right away, but I think they're not just going to disappear.
Yeah,
off
it's
the
a
face
hard
of the
lesson
earth.
to learn. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, and you got the whole off season to think about all the things you could have done, would have
Yeah.
done, you know, and it's too late. You know, the game has ended and, you know, you're walking away with an L. But, you know, I think the off season for guys like that, the fastest way to get over that is to get back working out and also get back and watching film, you know.
Oh, here I
And-
thought it was change your name, grow beard, you know what? But okay, I got
you
you.
better get in there and start watching some film and
Yeah.
then get in that weight room, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
again, he's a quarterback, so it's not like he's going to be blowing up and throwing up weight all over the place. But
Yeah.
in terms of just getting his mind back and getting his body ready, you know, the season ends very quickly and then it's off season and then there's another season coming so quick. So it's not a lot of time. So I think watching film is probably going to be the best thing that he can do from it, you know.
Gotcha.
Maybe not watching that particular game over and over again, but at least just watching the cut-ups that they have.
Okay. All right. Last thing I want to ask you about the Super Bowl, and that has nothing to do with the game, but the halftime show. Got to
Yeah.
talk about Bad Bunny a little bit.
Yeah.
What was your Bad Bunny experience? Give me your Bad Bunny experience.
Well, okay, so I think there was a big political agenda behind it. You know what I mean? I think that also there was a lot of community awareness that you saw in there in terms of just bringing in that culture and that vibe. I think it connected in so many different ways. You know, I talked about like if you're from a certain neighborhood or you're from a certain city, it's one thing that you try to rep that, right? But for him, I think in terms of the country, you know what I mean? Not the
Sure.
country, but in terms of Puerto Rico and whole,
Yeah.
I think that he definitely represented them and he brought back so many qualities that really related and connected with so many people from Puerto Rico.
Absolutely. And do you speak Spanish at all?
Poquito.
Yeah, un poquito. Yeah.
Un poquito.
Yeah. So you got some,
Is it muy poquito?
no, un poquito, un poquito, a little bit, a little bit.
a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
just a tiny bit. Yeah, yeah.
Just a little.
Well, look, you didn't have to understand what he was saying to appreciate at least what I saw on that screen, man. It was very powerful. It was awesome. You know, my wife's from Puerto Rico, so obviously it was a big deal for her, and seeing her celebrate that moment was very special. But from my perspective, man, it's interesting to see how these halftime shows have evolved from just like singing songs to like these almost like movie sets and
Yeah, it
movie
was.
scenes now, you know what I mean? And he was going from scene to scene and scene. And then at the very end, just shouting out all the Americas and all the countries and all the flags coming together as he left the field, man. Super special,
Yes, it
super
was.
important. It was really cool. And man, that moment where he handed his younger self the Grammy too, man,
Yeah, that was
let people
nice.
know, don't give up on your dreams.
Yeah.
You're more valuable than you think. For me as an artist, that just what a powerful message to send
Yeah.
to kids out there. So
Well,
that was
because
very
I'm in the
cool.
nonprofit space and always,
Yeah.
advocating on the behalfs of individuals and
Mhm.
communities, I really like the part where he climbed up the electric poles,
Oh, sure.
and
That's
was
a big
really
deal.
able to bring that awareness in terms of
Mhm.
like that delay at that time during that hurricane, in
Mhm.
terms of getting the electricity. And it just spoke to just the people in general of the community where the response wasn't there, but the community just said, look, we're going to get this figured out,
Mhm.
and it took some time, but in terms of like putting together resources and shipping those things over, those are the things that are really important to me. So on that aspect of it, I really love when he showed that element of it.
That's cool. Yeah, and that's important. The grid in Puerto Rico is not great. Power goes out a lot. I've experienced that personally when I spent a lot of time down in Puerto Rico. And yeah, it's really cool that he pinpointed all those things. And the fact that he put those real businesses out there and
Yes, it
shouted
was.
out all
Yeah.
those real
Well, I
businesses,
think one
super
of the
cool.
businesses there in New York
In
where
New
you're
York
at.
City, yeah, in
Yeah.
Brooklyn, man. That's
Yeah.
super cool. One of
Yeah. I think it's like the
the
only
last social club
Puerto Rican
left.
social club, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and they actually had that
Yeah,
beautiful lady there, and
yeah,
what she represented to so many people, and
yeah.
so
A lot of
yeah, it's really
stories,
cool.
man. She's super famous there,
Yeah.
man. It's
So,
very
but
cool.
here's the thing. This is
Yeah.
the one thing that I can take away from it. I've been to obviously a few different Super Bowls, right?
Mhm.
And so in person, it's a totally different experience.
Yes. Yeah.
So being on social media, you can see a little bit of that in terms of
Yeah,
getting,
different angles,
yeah, as far as
close-ups,
just getting the
everything.
response and what
Yeah.
people thought, and I think that like being there, you didn't really get the full or capture of what Bad Bunny was able to put on,
Mhm.
on stage, and I
Yeah,
think that's
I
something
could
you have
see
to
that
watch
being
from
the
TV
case.
to be
Yeah.
able to experience it, because I think being in person, sometimes depending on where you're at in the stadium, you can end up on the backside of everything. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it's like you can't see anything. You're looking at you're looking at the jumbotron and trying to figure out,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on. But I think it's a different experience. And so the experience I had was a great one because again,
You're
I was
watching
able to
on
see it,
TV.
in all the different angles.
All right, final question to put it to bed. Next time Bad Bunny comes to town, you coming with me?
There you go.
You gonna rock out? You gonna come to Bad
Look,
Bunny
look.
show with me?
Um, in terms of like a concert,
Yeah. Yeah, you wanna
I
come
haven't
check
been
out?
to many concerts, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright,
I
I'm
really
taking you
haven't.
to Bad Bunny. You're
You
gonna have
take
a
me to
good
one?
time.
All right.
You're just gonna dance. That's all you have to do is show up, dance, man.
That's the
You're
one
good.
thing I'm saying,
Yeah.
un poquito, all right, in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah.
Espanol, but at the end of the day, music is music, man, and
Yep.
it crosses all barriers,
Yep.
man. And I'm sure, like in that stadium,
It's a party.
regardless
It's
if
a
you
party,
could
dude.
actually lip sync it or sing it,
Yeah.
with Bad Bunny, I think everybody had a foot tapping, they had
Mhm.
moves, they had hips moving, shoulders
Yeah.
was moving. I think everybody kind of felt the energy that was in the stadium.
People like me are like, "Oh, I didn't know I could move like that." Just took the music. And shout out to like Pablo Pascal who was there, man, Carol
Yeah,
G, like Jessica Alba showing
tons of
up, man.
people. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Jessica
super
Alba was
cool.
there. It was pretty
Super
cool.
cool. All right. As we know, it's never ordinary with Bet365 Priest. They've been riding shotgun with us this whole season, and we're
That's right.
happy to have them. We picked a bunch of futures last episode. We only got the one pick six, but we're going to have a little fun here because we're going to pick some 2026-27 futures.
Okay.
So this is all wild cards, man. We haven't had the
Yeah.
draft yet. We don't know what's going on. We're coming off the high of seeing Seattle just dominate, Patriots. We don't know what the Jaguars are going to be, but we're going to have some fun. And in this particular segment for Bet365, I'm going to hit you with just four questions
let's
I
do
need
it.
you to
Yeah.
answer, okay? First one, and we'll go by conference here to start. So who do you think's going to win the AFC in 2026-27? Who do you think's going to come out champion?
Look, I'm going with the Broncos.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going
Think
with
the
the Broncos.
Broncos are going to be back.
There's a number of teams that I could go with,
Yeah, absolutely.
from the 49ers
Yeah.
to Detroit, to Chicago. I mean, it's a number of teams that just had so many different injuries throughout the year.
Yeah.
So it really kind of limited them in terms of, having that postseason success. But yeah, Denver Broncos, I think they got a great team.
Okay.
Very stout young defense. And then, of
Okay.
course, their quarterback, man, he was exceptional this year.
All right, I'm going to go even more out there. I'm going to go out on I think the Jacksonville Jaguars
Jaguars?
are going to win the
Yeah.
AFC next
But their
year.
quarterback kind of disappeared,
Yeah,
Their number one pick.
I know, but you can solve those problems, man, in an off season.
Yeah.
What they needed is good quarterback play from Lawrence, and I think he's come into his own.
He definitely showed that.
Yep, and I feel like they've got some pieces around him, and I think they're going to surprise everybody. I think they're going to improve in the offseason just that much more, have one step up, and I think they're going to ruffle some feathers. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win AFC.
Yeah, I
Put
think
that
a lot
out
of
there.
people would really like that.
I haven't been wrong on any of my picks yet, Priest. I'm probably going to be wrong with that one.
Yeah. So Jacksonville, they got that saying when they go Duval. You know what I mean? So you got all these people in riding with you right now.
That's right. That's right. All right, shout it out in here. We got a whole crew here working with us. Zell, man, who do you think's going to win the AFC? Just yell it out, man. Oh, he said definitely not the Falcons. So no Falcon love.
No dirty
in the
bird.
hometown. All right, what about you, Paige? Paige, our photographer here. Shout it out. She's a Patriots fan, just so you know. You think they're gonna win the AFC? You think they're gonna get it done and go back to the Super Bowl? Yes. Oh, she
quiet
hesitated.
yes. That was a quiet yes.
That was a. Yeah, Panthers. Okay. Oh, okay, another sneaky pick. The
That would be a sneak one,
Panthers.
yeah.
All right. And what about Justin over here? Our guy Justin, man. He's
What you
working
got,
some
Justin?
cameras. Not sure?
That's it.
Okay, he's
It's a
got
tough
no
one.
answer yet now, so
It's a tough call.
I'll talk him into the Jags. Look, if I'm going down to the ship, I need somebody with me, man. I won't go alone. All right, let's switch it up to the NFC. Priest, NFC. It's a tough one because you got a lot of great teams,
You do.
man. I mean, anyone could have made the Super Bowl. And when it came down to the Seahawks and the Rams, it could have been any of those two. Obviously, the Seahawks got it done and won the Super Bowl, but it's very rare you repeat. Very rare. It's very rare you make it back.
Yeah, the thing is that a lot of
So-
teams, they actually peak too early, and during the season. So they have these phenomenal starts or they have this late November, December finish, and they start peaking, and at the end of the day, it really hadn't got started until playoff time, in terms of getting to the big show. So
Yeah.
I think there's several teams on the NFC that could definitely do that possibility. One, I would say Chicago. I
Okay.
mean, they've been a team that have had those fourth quarter comebacks.
Yep.
You put those together, in a perfect world, and they will be in the Super Bowl. And of course, Detroit's still there. I still feel
They got to
that
make
they've got
they
a
got to
team.
make it up for you, man.
Yeah,
You picked
I
them.
still feel like just as a team, as a collective, they were they had a number of injuries as well that kind of kept them and limited them this season. But they still have a phenomenal backfield, man, and they definitely have the opportunity.
Okay. Well, you stole a little bit of my thunder because I think the Bears are going to do it.
Bears, yeah.
I think they are trending up big time, and you just have that one more year of experience, losing the way they did, especially coming back, sending that game into overtime. You know they're going to be fired up, and they got a good squad out there. They got a great coach. I think it's going to be the Chicago Bears.
All right, got it.
All right, who's with me in the room? Anybody Bears? Zell, man, you feeling Bears?
Who's
Detroit,
it?
okay,
Got a
feeling
Detroit
Detroit.
line in there.
Paige going Detroit. You go Detroit. Detroit rocks
Yeah,
it up.
got two
man.
Bears.
Sorry, I got my-
Two Bears and
you guys,
3 Lions.
We'll see you guys later. We're going to the cool spot tonight after we wrap up here. All right, you're going down with me, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, cool. But yeah, the Lions, man. All right, Detroit Rock City in the house. All right, they could do it. They have a great coach too, man. And like you said, they faced some injuries. So
Yeah, that injuries and coach changes that they had. They had 7 positions that were switched out, but the nucleus of their team is still there, and I think they got a great opportunity.
All right, so before we pick MVP, let's go 61. My God, can you believe we were at 61,
And that's
Priest?
way out.
You mentioned you were in 35.
That was 35.
Yeah, these calendar years are flipping quick.
15 years ago?
Yeah. So, for you, who do you think wins? Of the teams you just shouted out, who do you think has the best chance? So you're gonna have to kind of pick here. I know you mentioned Detroit and the Bears, but if it were, let's say this: if it were the Lions, making it from the NFC to face off against your AFC pick, who do you think is gonna win?
Let's see. I'm going with Chicago.
Think
I'm gonna take
think
a
the
hot
Bears
dog.
can
I'm
get
gonna take a hot dog. Yeah,
You want that Chicago dog?
yeah. I want the Chicago.
You want us to do a live show in Chicago? I feel
Yeah,
you. I
definitely.
feel you. I
Yeah,
wanna
get a
there
little
too, man.
relish and a little bit of everything on that.
You gotta have the
onions,
poppy seed bun.
the poppy seed bun.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Banana peppers that they put on there.
Are
So
you a mustard guy?
definitely mustard.
Yellow mustard, or do you
Yeah.
like stadium mustard? Do you like the
I
brown
do
mustard?
spicy or
Okay,
French.
go either way.
But mainly it's usually regular.
Maybe both. Just do 2
Yeah.
streaks. Make it fun, man.
Yeah.
Get
So
colorful.
Chicago, I could definitely see
Okay.
them winning that game.
I'm high on the Bears. I'm gonna agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be that guy. I'll pick the same pick. Chicago Bears. I think
Okay.
they're gonna get done. You guys, Lions, Bears. What do you think? Baltimore, you think Baltimore Ravens going to make it in the AFC? Okay, he's shouting out Baltimore, man. Okay, Lamar Jackson back. New coach. Some changes over there. We'll see. Okay. Yeah, who knows? Browns might even win this thing, man. That's the great thing about the NFL. You never know, man. You never know. Okay, finally, who's going to win the MVP overall? MVP. We saw Myles Garrett get it done.
Yeah, Myles Garrett definitely did. Yeah.
I mean, he was dominant, set this all-time sack record. He deserved it, but wasn't a quarterback, and that's getting rare these days. But do you think it's going to go back to a quarterback, and if so, who?
Yeah, typically it does kind of make its rounds right back to a quarterback, and I think all the quarterbacks are playing really, really well, lights out.
Yeah,
but they're young. They're young guys that are playing really well, so it's a potential that it could happen.
All right, I'm saying it right here, right now. You ready?
Who you got?
I'm really jumping off the ship here. It's me, alone in the ocean, with no inner tube to save me, no anything, no flares. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to get the NFL MVP 26-27.
All right.
Trevor Lawrence. I'm feeling it in my bones. Now, for those of you who don't know, I don't actually have any bones, so I'm just winging it. Who do you think? Throw a name out there. Who do you think? Give me a couple names,
And we're saying quarterback.
It's always the Josh Allens. It's always the Jalen Hurts. But are you leaning towards anybody in particular? Bounce back year maybe for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, as much as I want to say Lamar, I just think that
too much going on in Baltimore right now.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, and it's not sure how that's going to pan out for those guys as well.
Give me one name.
Mahomes took a year off.
Okay.
Yeah, he took a year off, man. He had to let somebody else get a little shine.
Did you play for the Chiefs or something? Did you play for Kansas City Chiefs?
So I'm gonna say Mahomes, man, comes back with some thunder.
Comeback kid.
Some thunder. Yeah.
League MVP. Okay.
Yeah, very, very, very doable.
And they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. They took a year off because they had to let the other teams, to get some success.
People got to go get engaged. Some people got to go.
Now, as far as Travis is concerned, I think that's a different tale for him.
Yeah.
Like I said, engaged, getting ready to get married.
Yep.
All this, I believe, is going to be happening right before the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
I just see him going in another direction. I just don't see him.
Fatherhood?
I don't see football being the number one priority for him.
Interesting.
As it has been,
Okay.
And especially as a teammate and being there with Patrick Mahomes and with the guys and with Coach Andy Reid. I just don't see it as that being the priority. And I don't see how you can have that as a priority, especially when there's just so much more opportunity for you. In terms of acting and going into entertainment, they've already got their steakhouse. They're in real estate. There's just so many other opportunities for him. And so he's got the trophies. He broke my record.
He did.
So I think, he broke my record. So I think it's time for him to retire.
You know whose ears just went up? Jason Dunn. He's like, coming out of retirement. Get me in there, man. I'll back up Travis. Back him
that's
up.
it.
I'll back him up.
Yeah,
right.
but it's fun. It's been fun watching with the Kansas City Chiefs. But not only that, man, it's been watching the entire NFL. Because this was an incredible year.
It was a really cool year.
I can't believe how the young players stepped up and became leaders, and were leading those teams. And then at the end of the day, it does take, sometimes a Sam Darnold, a traveling man,
Sometimes a Trent Dilfer, sometimes a Sam
It takes a
Darnold.
Trent Dilfer. It takes a guy sometimes that's experienced,
Yeah.
been in the league, seen it from so many different angles, and has had the opportunity. And then when you have an organization that says, hey, I don't think it's a relationship we still have, and then to leave there and to do it the way that he's done and led his team, I think that was pretty exciting.
You think he sent all of his former teams thank you cards?
Nah, he didn't have to see no thank you cards because they all was watching him. They were all watching him.
He's looking out there at all those teams. You paid to get in.
Yeah. So, but I'm pretty sure, man. In terms of like teamwork, teammates, being in the locker room with guys, I'm sure most of those guys that were there with the Vikings that was probably out at the Super Bowl were there probably definitely supporting them, sending them text messages saying, hey, man, go get this. And so I think he had a lot of support.
And you could see which teammates get the who dis response. Who dis? Like, oh, you already deleted my number?
Yeah, it's like, who's this? Yeah, I got a new number, new phone, you know what I mean? I got to update my contacts. Who's this?
All right, well, we have a very special guest joining us to cap off the rest of this episode, Marcellus Wiley.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, we didn't do a set change or a scene change. We spent some time with Marcellus out in L.A. when we were there with him. So, what a cool guy, man. A lot of fun.
Yeah,
Super
like
stoked
all the
for
way
this
from
interview.
Compton to Columbia. We had talked about
That's
Columbia.
right, Compton to Columbia.
But he definitely has an interesting story and an incredible guy.
Yep.
And
Super nice.
he does a lot of podcast space, and he's in the podcast space as well.
Yeah.
So hats off to him.
Yeah, cool. So here's Marcellus Wiley, everyone. Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only. All right, Priest, we're back again with another special guest. Join us here on the home stretch, LA edition.
I know it.
You enjoy your time out here in LA?
Man, have I enjoyed it. I had a chance to actually find out what's behind the Hollywood sign.
That's right.
A whole bunch of steps in a mountain.
Oh, tell me. I've never been up there, and I'm from LA.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, okay. So our guest's never been there, but you know what he has done? He was drafted in the second round, 52nd overall by the Buffalo Bills. Second team All-Pro 2001, Pro Bowl also in 2001. Played for the Bills, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Jaguars. And I just found this out. I didn't know. School valedictorian?
Oh, that's what they say.
That's what they say?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
the proof in the pudding?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I took my studies seriously. Just on test day. You know what I mean? It's all good.
Yeah. And then graduated from Columbia, man. So it's my backyard, man. And that's I don't know if a lot of people know this, but that's where all the Ghostbusters.
Really?
Yeah, if you go back and watch the movie, there's a lot of the scenes over at Columbia University, man. You're gonna recognize them. You're gonna be like, oh, I've been in that room with Venkman.
Right.
I know what's going on.
I've been here 2 minutes already. The Hollywood sign was behind it.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, my school. Keep going. I like this.
All right, Marcellus Wiley, thanks for joining us here on the home stretch. Man.
Appreciate
It's
you
good
guys. Priest Holmes is here.
I know, right?
Oh, man. I haven't hit you in 20 years.
Yeah.
And I barely hit you then.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute. Had some wonderful competition and games played against each other. I'm just excited to have you on.
Man.
Man, what have you been up to? You know, and the reason why I say that is because I tune into your stuff. You know what I mean? And the podcast stuff that you do. And one thing that I love about it, man, is the way that you describe, you know, your podcast and you talk about what your topic is.
Yeah.
And then there's times where you go back and you put it to a melody. You rap about it, man. And I said, wait a minute. I said, I always knew there was something special about Marcellus. You know what I mean? And so I can see now when we talk about some of your accolades as far as just your that education behind you, your creativeness. You know what I mean? So that's got to be something special, man, to be able to be so creative, but also be a football player and have that strength and that brunt to be on that defensive line.
Man,
so.
Truly appreciate it, man. I guess what I'm up to is what I've always wanted to do is just not be in a box. Just be who you are, right?
So does football put you in a box? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think
agree.
you got to climb out of that. You have to dispel those myths, the dumb jock, the football player only. I had it my whole life, whether it was in class and school growing up. And, you know, you get an A and they're like, really? And you play football? And you're like, what do you mean? Like, they're not mutually exclusive, you know.
Yeah.
You go through that process, through my schooling years, all of that. And then you get to even media. And you want to do a job and you're at ESPN and they put you on SportsCenter and everything is just peppering you with football questions. You're like, man, I watched the football game. Yeah. But after that, I watched the basketball game.
That's right.
Can you ask me a question about basketball? No. Track and field is my favorite sport. No. So you just got to always push the limits and just express yourself to who you really are. So right now I'm up to just chasing my kids around, man, doing the content, trying to build my network up. I did network TV for 20 plus years.
Yes.
So as this all evolves and changes, there's more power to the person than just being a part of a network. So I'm on that mission and then chasing some kids around. Got a 10, 6, 5-year-old. And then I got a 26-year-old that's older than me. So, you know, just loving life, man.
So I want to find out kind of what's behind the mind, you know, of you in terms of like when you're creating your content. Right? Not to give away all of your secrets, but just thinking what goes into it to be that creative, man, to come up with that subject and staying on subject. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it flows and everybody can understand what you're wanting to get your point across.
Yeah. I don't even think there's a secret. You know, grandma give you the recipe. You can't cook it. You know what I mean? Here, this is what you do, baby. Good luck.
That's the truth,
right? Man. No, but in all seriousness, I think what I wanted to do when I left network is kind of get out that box as well, which is, you know, it's a safer space. It's a way that we talk about sports where there's a little more agreement. There's a way that they look and cover sports that is not in totality. They don't really go into the person. They go more into the player. And I wanted to go deeper in that dive, that experience that, motivates us, that defines us, that makes us who we are before we even get on the field and collide. And I wanted to go into that level of expression. Also, I wanted to not just cover sports and not just cover athletes, but cover those who cover the athletes. Because I've seen all that bias. I've seen, how they take care of each other and the likability. If I like this player, I'm not going to say he had a bad game. If I don't like that player, even if he had a good game, I'm going to say he had a bad game. And it can go to all levels. So not really exposing it, but just putting it on display in terms of these are all the elements that's going into that recipe that we usually see when we're watching pregame, during the game, and after the game.
Yeah. So, Marcellus, this is my co-host.
It's nice to meet you,
This is
Marcellus.
my buddy Mark.
Yes.
Let me tell you some of his little background. So this
What are
guy's
you
a
gonna
comedian, right? He's got that background as a comedian.
Well, my last name's Seaman, so I didn't have very many,
Didn't
have very many options in life, Marcellus.
Got to check the birth certificates in Hollywood around here.
That's right.
Also a drummer.
Okay.
Yes. So actually had my first chance. Where did we go the other day? With the albums, the vinyls.
Oh, Amoeba Music. I took him to Amoeba Music. You know that shop? Yeah.
Yeah.
So showed him you can get anything and everything there.
Yeah, you
That's my
could.
favorite
Oh, yeah, that's the
record
spot. I used to DJ, so I DJ for 20, well, I still do, but
Yeah.
I really used to DJ before these little kids. And I got the DJ NFL stuff. So I was like one of the first, if not the first DJ for the NFL.
That's
I was
awesome.
doing all the Super Bowls. I got to do Kanye, Outkast, Run DMC, like all that kind of stuff. So you're talking my language when you talk Amoeba.
Absolutely, man. That's my spot. That's my spot. So, you're talking about how you're flipping the script, and I want to talk to you specifically about hot takes. Because for me personally, as a journalist, and I played sports, but also I'm on the other side of the coin, and I think hot takes are something that's like a poison. It's like poisoning the well. Both coverage, and then it gets spun in the media, and then it turns into something that never existed anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think hot takes like damaging? Like, were you ever in the business of hot takes? Do you ever throw one out there and regret it? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, first it's
because they want you to do that. They encourage that, right?
Yeah, the incentives.
Yeah.
Incentive shape behavior. So they dangle that carrot in front of you. Like, the hot take leads to more opportunities, more airtime, bigger shows,
right,
bigger platforms, and then that turns into a bigger check. So they don't tell you to make a hot take. They just reward those who do it.
Gotcha.
And that's just how it goes. So, I mean, people define it for different ways, different reasons. My definition of it is it exists. So it's kind of like, how stereotypes, people don't want to, you stereotyping me. But there's a part of that that's true, right? Like, it's pretty obvious. Like, you see me on the airplane, I sit down in first class, and the lady's like, you play football? Like, she's stereotyping me. I'm like, but you're damn right. Yes, it is.
Or like the dumb jock thing, right?
Right.
And you're like, oh, well, here's my degree.
Yeah. So you see it from all different angles. But hot takes, it just got used too much. It became in too much of abundance. Like it became
it's a crutch now.
Yeah, we were leading with that instead of just using that as a tool, as an instrument to discuss things. So once that became the headline instead of just one of the lines in the paper, one of the lines in the show, I think that's when it lost its way. And then people ran with it, and they're still trying it. But now you see more people having discussions instead of debates. People want to talk through it.
Right.
As long as you're entertaining, as long as you're saying something that's educational, people are learning from it, laughing at it. People just want to be entertained. They don't want you to go and be so provocative that it really doesn't have any meat to it. So I think the hot takes are of yesteryear, even though you still see them sometimes.
Yeah. So I want to ask about, I don't want to use the word regret, but most people say, is there anything you regret saying? I don't want to ask you that. I want to ask, is there anything you regret not saying?
Oh, that's good.
Like, maybe
I actually had a yes for the regret saying too, but I cleared that up a long time ago. I got caught, rookie mistake. They're talking about my coach, Mike Smith, he was our D coordinator.
Okay.
And they were talking bad about him. And I was just sitting there like, really? Really? And then they asked me, was it crazy? Was it weird? Was it a circus?
Yeah.
And I was like, at times. And that's all they needed. And it was like, now I'm in agreement with them when they were really going far with it. And I was just like, at times it was a circus. And then, boy, it got around, and I saw him, and he was not happy.
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, why? I was like, I didn't mean it. And then I learned that you got to be more sophisticated and precise with your words.
Yeah.
So
you didn't get a holiday card that year.
No, I did not. But I was already benched before, so he could do more. That I didn't say.
Yeah, like maybe there was a moment in time, it could have been pivotal and you just kind of bit your tongue and then looking back, you're like, man, I wish I would have said something to,
Uh,
affect the situation one way or another or just say my piece.
Yeah, I've never had that problem. Matter of fact, you got to pull me back. Like,
Yeah.
dog, stop saying it. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about your coach. You know what I mean? I think there have been moments where I was like, man, I wish the world would have saw this or heard this or known this.
Mhm.
We had Drake on when we were interviewing him. He was hosting the ESPYs, and we pre-taped instead of went live like normal.
Right.
And this is 10, 15 years ago. And he came on pre-tape and started lighting Kendrick Lamar up. Like we were sitting there like, what? And then we thought that was gonna go to air. But he put the kibosh on that pretty soon after he woke up from like whatever he was going through to say all that stuff. So there have been moments where I'm like, dog, why ain't the world see that? Why ain't the world hear that? But not from me personally. I always say what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's good. Never holding back. Never holding back.
Yeah.
Now, would you act that way towards Priest too on the field? Like,
No. See, I don't like players like Priest. One, they're too damn good. But two, he didn't have much to say.
Yep.
Lean and
Tight-lipped.
mean. Yeah, and so you don't know what's really affecting him,
Sure.
And I played against an offensive tackle, Walter Jones, who was the same as him. Great player. At the same time, you can't get under their skin because you don't even know if they're even hearing you, receiving it. They don't care. You just don't know. And that stale face that they give you, you're like, that ain't right. And 8 yards, 12 yards, touchdown. And he just like, yeah, whatever. And you're like, what do you mean whatever? Stop playing. So Priest was a machine, man. I remember playing Kansas City many a times, being an Arrowhead. And I'm like, this is a lot. And it's hard to stop him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a matchup that was twice a year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So you know it was coming.
you knew it was
You
coming.
had it circled on the
Yeah,
calendar.
it was coming.
Watching extra film. Yeah.
Well, how did you enjoy playing in the stadium, y'all stadium,
In San Diego?
in San Diego?
Oh, it was a mess.
That's what I thought.
It
But
was a mess.
how did you feel playing
Good
in
record now.
Yeah. I mean, look, they fought for 20-some years to get out of there, and they finally
Yeah.
they were going to try to build another one. They never did, and it turned into SoFi. So
Yeah.
kudos to the Chargers. But no, it used to rain, and then your mom would be like, baby, after the game, it was raining, and it was leaking on us. And I was like, oh, y'all were covered? And they were like, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, it was just a concrete jungle, man.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Not only that, but just the fact that how wide the field was compared to where the fans were at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was a
We
big
were at
gap
the-
there.
Well, it felt
was
like
there
a big
track?
gap.
It was because it was a baseball stadium as well. So,
That's
you
right.
had the infield
Yeah.
for all of September.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm pass rushing on dirt.
Yeah.
And that means no sack happening
Yeah.
because you can't even get going. And then, like you said, everyone was distant because it was built for the baseball stadium. So, yeah, it was weird. I give you that.
Yeah.
Weird times. We're asking all of our guests their biggest takeaway from playing in the pros. Like you reflect back on, you tell a lot of stories and stuff.
Yeah.
But for you personally, day to day, you got all these kids, you're chasing them around. We'll talk about track and field in a second, but how do you apply like what you learned or your big takeaway to what you're doing today? Just in real life.
Yeah, I think the first thing that really hit me was the accomplishment. Like you really, you get drafted and it's just euphoria. You're running around crazy. You can't believe it. You don't have a dollar more to your name. You're still the same guy.
Yeah.
But your family looking at you different. Your friends looking at you. Everybody's different.
Where's my car?
Immediately, you have become
I gotta get a
much
car.
better looking to
Yeah.
everybody.
Sure.
It's insane, like immediately. And so I think it was that first deep breath, that first quiet moment. And I was like, oh, I made it. Like, not in the sense of bragging, in the sense of, you mean you can run that hill that many times, do that many push-ups, throw up that many times, get yelled at that many times, and it actually can work out? Like, I can't believe I manifested something. Like, it's almost like you had a baby. Like, you built this, you birthed this. This is real. And that was the first thing. Then just how, like, it teaches you so many life lessons with a smile, sometimes a frown. But you're just learning so many elements of life. Ultimate team sport. You got so many different personalities. It's eye-opening when you got a guy who's reading comic books and he's fat and out of shape, but he's your best player. You know what I mean? He's silly and he doesn't look like anything and he'll destroy you. And it's just like you don't even get it. You can't judge any books by its cover. It's just, and everyone's from somewhere else.
Right.
Perspective, place, beliefs, and it didn't matter. Like, yeah, we're going to argue. Yeah, we're going to beef out in here. And then we're all going to walk out of here in unison for one goal. And that's something I wish the real world experienced. Like, it's okay to be on a different side.
Yeah.
Disagree respectfully. Just like a football team. I'm not going to hit you. You're my teammate.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you, even though I disagree with you, even though I don't believe that. And that's fine. And so that locker room experience, there's no greater workplace than being in the locker room. Because you can go in there, somebody, you see what they're wearing, you joan them, you just kill it.
That's
You,
right.
you know, you see their ex, and you kill it, you talk trash. You see their babies, you be like, man, clean the baby up. Like everything was a joke.
Everybody can get talked about.
Everybody can get it.
Yeah.
And then we can go out there and go get it together.
Yeah.
I wish the real world had more of that.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Now, where are you on kickers?
Oh, they're players. No. I'll fight for the kicker. If they need a union president, I got their
You
back.
got him?
That's my guy right
Yeah.
there. That's my guy.
When you're on your knees praying when there's 2 seconds left, are they a player or not?
Yep.
Yes.
They're very important.
They're very
Yeah.
important then, right?
Yeah,
So
you
they're-
can talk to the Patriots about Adam Vinatieri, right? Yeah, cleaning up shop for them, no doubt about it. Now, I'm just joking about the kickers because, they're kind of on their own island, but I got to defend those guys, man, because they go through hard times too, man. You miss a kick like the Scott Norwoods or this new rookie Loop that just missed his kick, they got to
Baltimore.
deal with that. It's your teammate, man.
Oh, yeah, for life.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
life. You got to
for
lift him
life.
up. You can't shun him.
He will not step on another football field and not think about that in some
Of
element.
course.
I mean, it is. It's just a part of his DNA forevermore of, wow, I had opportunity, not just to win a game, which is big,
Yeah.
but to define a season and get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, it's all on that play.
Yeah.
And none of us as football players have it all on that play. Like, you get 20 carries. I get 70 pass rush attempts, whatever it may be. But, there are very rare times when you lost the game. Sometimes you jumped off sides or it's a penalty and they can say you did that. And it's the rare moment a kicker misses a kick or you get that penalty, that costly drop. And it seems like they all happen to Baltimore. It's like the drops and all that.
Continuously.
Yeah, continuous.
Well,
So
that's a
if that's
carryover from
if that's for
Cleveland.
the kicker, Marcellus, then what would be that one thing for a defensive lineman?
I think it would have to be, here's a play. It's fourth and goal, and I jump off sides, and they throw an incompletion. But they get another chance, and then they throw a
Right.
touchdown.
There was a game that happened like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the Chiefs versus maybe Patriots or
Okay.
not, where something like that happened
Yeah.
to where one of the Chief defenders had a penalty,
Yeah.
gave him another down,
Yeah.
but they didn't execute that play and came back on that very next one.
Yep. But the only difference is, even on that Mulligan play, the next play, he had to beat the corner, or he had to beat the safety. Like, it's still on you too.
That's
Like,
right.
it's not just all on me, Tyler Loop.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
kick,
yeah, yeah.
as soon as he touched that ball,
Yeah.
we were like, oh, he ain't got that.
Yeah.
It was out of there.
Yeah,
And that's a big difference.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think for running backs, it's a fumble.
Yeah.
That's
the worst.
That's the one that you're gonna think about all off season long, all
Yep.
the way up into preseason. You're gonna be thinking about it until you get another opportunity, and it doesn't come to the next season.
Yeah.
So you live with it. for a
Well,
while.
I mean, did you ever talk to Ernest Biner about that?
Ooh.
yeah.
'Cause that's for me,
Yeah.
that
Yeah, and not
rattled
only
the
did
city, man.
I played with Ernest Biner as a teammate, my first year in the league in 1997, but then in '98 he ended up being one of the coaching assistants for running back. So
Yeah.
now he was in the team meeting room with me, man, and then the running back room with me. So he was able to break that down to us, now
Yeah.
as he didn't break it down to us as my rookie season as a player,
Nothing.
and we're competing together. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was just like right when he got in the office and he was there as our assistant running back coach, then it was just like a different relationship. You know what I mean?
That's it.
And it was about teaching us how to not just be a football player,
Mhm.
but to be a professional football
Right,
player.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? And so
Well,
that's
heavy as the head that wears that crown, man. I mean, you say worst thing ever is the fumble. Imagine if you were the
The
fumble.
fumble.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what I
that's
mean? That's tough. That's tough.
next to him.
Well, unfortunately, we're a little short on time, Marcellus. So I want to ask you this before we bounce.
Yeah.
What's worse, sitting in a middle seat on a plane or trying to tackle this guy?
Middle seat for me. So I can tell you right now, it's a
What's
middle seat
worse?
for me.
What's worse? Middle seat's tough. That's hard to
Yeah.
beat. Like, there's some pleasures you can get out of a middle seat. Depends on who's flanking you. Depends
Yeah.
on where you are in your life.
That's right.
I've been in the middle seat sometimes. I'm like, oh my, lucky me. You know what I mean? Everybody got to get up. Oh, you got to go to the bathroom again? No problem. I just didn't like Arrowhead. I didn't like Arrowhead with Priest. I didn't like the machine that they were. Like, it was just like you're watching film, and sometimes you can see the snag. Like, all right, we're going to attack this, and then we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
But we didn't know what to do. We were just like, I mean, it was Rofe, Waters,
Yep.
Priest,
Yeah.
Richardson. It was
Shields.
just
Will
Gonzalez.
Shields.
I'm like,
Yeah,
man, look, stop. This is twice a year too. So
Yeah.
I would have to say, skip those games. Let's
Okay.
take that middle seat.
Take the middle seat. Hey, the people you meet in the middle seat, man.
That's
It's always
right.
a good time. Always a good time. All right, well, Marcellus, man, we really appreciate the time today. Thanks for coming join the home stretch, man.
all day,
We'll
man.
have you
Much
back
respect.
much
Let
longer,
you
right?
right here.
Let's
Appreciate
go.
you.
This has been a Playmaker production.